Going through the possessions of a loved one after his or her death is a unique, often sad, sometimes funny or insightful experience. Depending upon what is left behind, the process can even be embarrassing, a cause for anger, or an epiphany of knowledge about the deceased's private life. It makes me want to go through all my own personal belongings before I die and throw out as much stuff as I can, so as not to bother some other person having to go through it all. It's mostly insignificant things anyway, but each item is somehow attached to my history. So after my own death, some person is probably going to have a hard time throwing away my stuff in the trash because he will think, well, this was connected to Father Billy. Throwing it away is like throwing him away. Hey, person of the future, message from Father Billy. No, it isn't. It's okay. Toss it. Listen, floods, tornadoes, and fires remove the personal items of people every day somewhere. And these folks manage to move on in life with their loss, without their wedding album, record collection, old letters, high school yearbook, etc. But it's hard, isn't it? I'll admit that. Sort of shows how attached we get to things. Actually, it is the people to whom we are attached, and their personal belongings simply hold some sort of connection that we do not want to lose. But someday we will get too old to care about these personal effects, and someone else will throw them away, or nature will destroy them in one way or another. In the past few years, I was tasked with going through a large portion of both my oldest brother's and my father's personal belongings after their deaths. The process brought out many tears and some realizations about their lives that gave me insight into what they did with their years on earth, including the foolish things they did and also the sufferings they silently went through. And of course, when you go through someone else's belongings, you will find things that the person saved, which give you pause. Little things of no particular import, like some small present I gave my brother or a postcard I wrote to my dad. But there they were, kept for whatever reason. Perhaps my loved ones could not bring themselves to throw them away because the thing reminded them of me. And now it was my turn to throw away what I had given them. Now, to be frank, my oldest brother was not a particularly religious fellow. Paul struggled with a few things, demons of one sort or another, low self-esteem, for example. That's probably why he loved helping me remodel 3 Catholic churches in northern Arizona while I was pastor of those parishes. It was a tremendous amount of work, and he was good at it. But Paul was a bit of a quiet fellow. I was one of the rare souls to whom he could speak on a deeper level, and yet he never was really able to express his faith well, at least not in words. He just didn't have that ability. True, Paul may not have put Jesus at the center of his life, but he never denied his Catholicism. He did not argue against church teaching, and he would go to Mass, if not regularly, at least whenever others were going, or if I were the priest. So as I went through my brother Paul's piles of worthless junk, and I am being honest here, he, like me, and you too probably, he had a lot of junk that ended up in the trash or being recycled, or I donated it to St. Vincent de Paul if it retained any monetary value. But in the midst of it all, I found what most of us might call a holy card. You know, a 3-inch by 2-inch card with a picture of Jesus or Mary on one side and a prayer of sorts on the other. It was given him by a priest up in Prescott, Arizona. A priest who we thought growing up was an odd fellow. He walked around quietly with a hunched neck, probably some spinal defect, and he spoke really quietly and simply. Not the kind of guy with whom you'd want to work on your car engine with or shoot hoops. That may be me, but that was not Father Ambrosi. After Father Ambrosi's death, people began sharing stories of what he would do for the poor and the advice he gave all sorts of people in difficult circumstances. There are those who believe he was or is a saint. a saint who lived among us, one we just thought was a simple soldier of Christ, if not a little strange. So the card has a color painting of Jesus on one side, the Sacred Heart, and a prayer on the other side titled, Jesus, Help Me. Written in black ink on the edge of the prayer is Father Ambrosi's handwriting. For Paul, from Father Frank Ambrosi, January 14, 1982. That would have been right after Paul finished basic training for the U.S. Marine Corps in San Diego. Maybe when Paul was at home on leave, or before he shipped out on duty, he went to see Father Ambrosi. Maybe Father Ambrosi passed it to Paul through my mother, who may have confided in Father Ambrosi that Paul was still struggling to find himself and that he was uncertain of why he had joined the Marines. Whatever the history, as I went through Paul's belongings the summer after his death in 2017, I found this little, slightly bent card amongst his Marine memorabilia. Did he ever read it? Why did he keep it? What did it mean to him? This is all it says. Jesus, help me. In every need, let me come to you with humble trust, saying, Jesus, help me. In all my doubts, perplexities, and temptations, Jesus, help me. Always, always in spite of weakness, fails, and shortcomings of every kind, Jesus, help me and never forsake me. Almost 6 years later, I find myself unable to throw this little card away with Father Ambrosi's handwriting. Not that it would mean throwing Paul away, but rather it would feel to me like I'd be throwing Jesus away. I can't do that. I'll put it in my prayer book for someone else to find someday. Someday after Paul and I meet again.